What if I told you that your intuition is your $1 billion advantage? That voice telling you to start the program, raise your prices, pitch yourself to being on that stage, it is not fear masquerading as courage. This voice is your inner God voice. Your inner God voice is showing you exactly what your next step is. And the thing that makes women multiple millionaires is because we are so connected to our intuition, yet we were made afraid to listen to it. The women that are making millions and very successful in your industry, they aren't smarter. They are listening to their inner God voice, also known as their intuition. So who am I? I am Christine Michelle, and I am your energetic strategist and your spiritual advisor. And I am here to help you create the impact, the income, and the influence that blows your freaking mind so that we together can raise the frequency of this planet and everyone can be millionaires and billionaires and have healthy, amazing lives. Because you and I both know that there's no such thing as lack, that everything is abundance in this ever expanding universe. And you get to be evidence of that for the world. And so let's talk about what I call your inner God voice. Other people call it your intuition. Your intuition is your direct line to the source within you, to God within you, to source intelligence. And the difference between the fear voice and the God voice is that when it is your inner God voice speaking to you, it is calling you towards something and expanding you. And the other voice contracts you. And so when you listen to this $1 billion advantage, also known as your intuition, you will do things that make no sense to anyone else, but it's going to make all the sense in the world to you because you are listening to that voice. Well, let me help you distinguish between the fear voice, right, and the intuition voice. First of all, let me say fear is a green light. Anytime you are afraid of something, anytime you feel nervous about something, anytime you are concerned about making an action, I want you to use it as a green light. If you are afraid to go live, I want you to go live immediately. If you are afraid of anything, use fear as the green light, because fear is that doorway to more and that doorway to something that you have never experienced. You want a quantum leap. You want to manifest things you've never experienced. Guess what? Fear is what keeps you where you are. It keeps you safe. And we already talked about safety is not what you want as an entrepreneur, as somebody who's doing something different, who wants to create change in the world. You can't look for safety. You've got to decide that you're ready to be on the edge. You're ready to be in the unknown and the unexpected. You're ready to not know what's going to happen next. That gets to be the norm for you. And so I want you to know that I'm going to talk about the differences between a fear voice and an intuition voice, but I also want you to know that fear is the green light. And so when you experience fear or you have fear, don't identify as I am fearful. Just say, oh, that's interesting. I'm afraid to do that. That must be my next step. Because fear is just trying to keep you where you are and safe. We don't want safety. We want expansion. We want you to do the things that you feel afraid of. Okay? All right. So now let's talk about the fear voice. The fear voice is going to contract, make you smaller. Who do you think you are? Right? That's some of the things that fear voice will ask you. Right? The fear voice will say, you're not ready for that. Who do you think you are? What if you fail? It'll try to keep you safe. It'll try to keep you stuck. Okay? The inner God voice is leading you in a direction that you really are ready to go. You may not think you're ready, but it is leading you where you would not even think of going. It is expanding you. It is leading you towards something, not away from something. It is that underlying yes. Okay? This is it. This is the way to go. Okay? Intuition is, I have a good story. Let me give you an example. When you are following your intuition, you're not running away from anything, you're running towards something. I had a friend. She was in a foreign city, and there were some things that were happening and she wasn't even aware of. but she was following and just listening to her intuition about what streets to go and what direction to go and like where to go. And so it was at night, and she wanted to go back to her hotel, and she had two choices. The choice was to stay on this road here that was probably more lit and the safer route, or to go down into this alley. And she felt a pull into the alley, not because she was running away from something, not because she was afraid, but she just felt, oh, this is the direction that I need to go. Turned out that direction was a shortcut back to the hotel, and she ended up right in front of where she needed to go in a fraction of the time. So the next day, she comes out of the hotel. She's talking to the bellhop. And so the bellhop is like, oh my goodness, last night there was women that were attacked and they were blah, blah, blah. And guess where it was? On the street that if she would have walked straight that way, she would have been in the midst of all of that craziness. Her intuition didn't say, don't go down that street because scary things are happening. Her intuition, the inner God voice, led her down a different pathway, because that was the pathway towards, her getting back to her hotel and being very, happy, healthy, and whole, versus the other direction, which was the normal direction, which would have been that way. But she didn't feel fear for not going down that street. She felt led to go down that. Okay. So the intuition is leading you towards something. And that's why I say, I don't want you to run away from the fear voice. I want you to acknowledge it and say, ooh, what am I afraid of? And, that's interesting that I'm afraid of that. There must be something there for me. There's something there for me. Right now, I'm not talking about holding rattlesnakes or jumping in front of a car and things like that. No. What I am talking about is you, there are certain things that you get to know not to do. You don't want to run in front of a car. You don't want to burn yourself. There's certain things that you need to not do. But I'm talking about fear when it comes to a relationship, or when it comes to putting yourself out there or doing something different. That discomfort, if we don't even qualify it as fear, if it's that discomfort, is leading you to something bigger, something better for you. Because if you want something different, you've got to do different things, and you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. Okay? So your intuition, I called it your $1 billion advantage, your inner God voice. So how do you strengthen this inner God voice? We are going to train your inner God voice in WooDo Villa, because we're going to train you to move in alignment with this inner God voice. But if I were dropping some knowledge here for you that you can take and run, first I would tell you to start with small hits. When you get a nudge to do something, do it immediately. You know how people always say money loves speed and movement, and that's because you're trusting your intuition. You're trusting yourself. I can tell you millions of times where I got an idea and I was like, I need to launch this and I need to say this, and I didn't move on it because I was waiting, or because human design says I should respond to something. Bullshit. I was a human design teacher. I taught 20,000 people that. No. Get out of that. Listening to my inner God voice came before I saw anything outside of me. And so what I needed to do was to listen to my inner God voice and start listening to those nudges, listening to them immediately, going quickly to send the email, going quickly to create the post, going quickly to record the video, and not waiting for the perfect moment. Because waiting, it slows you down, and it is not following that inner God voice. Okay? And so every time you follow that inner God voice, you are building trust with it. Every time you override it, you are also building trust with it. Because when you override it and then you're like, oh my God, I should have listened to the inner God voice, that is also a thing of you being like, I need to trust it more. And then you start to listen to it. So you cannot do anything wrong here. You cannot mess up. And in WooDo Villa, we are going to teach you how to move with your inner God voice, because your intuition is your $1 billion advantage. It knows what is going to come. It knows the moves that you get to make. And when you trust your inner God voice, magic happens. And so if WooDo Villa is feeling like, oh my God, I need to be in WooDo Villa, then the doors open on 11/11. Get in. The links are below. And if it is not the time to join WooDo Villa, there's other options for how you can join the Aligned Soul world. You are welcome at any time. Hugs, kisses, and all of the feels. And so it is.